Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Okay, welcome back. So we are now on lecture 9, where we have been looking at the plastic pollution, different sources of plastic pollution. So as you will remember in the last video, towards the end, we were looking at plastic getting into the ocean from different sources. Especially we were referring to a study which was done in environmental science and technology, which has listed the top 10 rivers from where the plastic was getting into the ocean. And top 10 rivers were mostly, most of them were from Asia and some from Africa. So we'll continue that global sources of plastic in this particular lecture as well. And again, just a recap, this particular week, which is the week 2, we have been looking at the sources of plastic waste, the production, and global and Indian data on plastic waste production. So from where we have left earlier, in terms of the plastic ocean getting into the 20 rivers, this is again the data coming from 2015 in terms of plastic getting into the ocean from top 20 rivers, which is coming from another paper published just last year. And most of these plastic related studies have been done in last, I would say within last decade or so. So most of these papers are pretty new paper. And again, this also kind of confirms what we just saw in the previous last slide of the previous video, the Yangtze River from China, which is showing as the biggest source of plastic. And then Ganges, which includes contribution coming from India as well as Bangladesh, is nearly half of what coming from the Yangtze River. Then there is a Xi River, XI. I'm assuming that the pronunciation is correct. If I'm wrong, just let me know. Then Yangpu River, which is another Chinese. Then we have a Nigerian river cross, Amazon, which comes from Brazil, Peru, Colombia, and Ecuador. Brantish, which is in Indonesia, Pasing, a Philippines river, and as you can see, there is a lot of list kind of goes down in there. And these kind of shows you starting from 333,000 tons all the way to 11,900 tons. So as 20 polluting rivers across the world, shown estimated amount, and again this is an estimated amount. This is not the total, it's an estimated annual input, which is of the plastic plastic getting into the ocean in tonnage. So it's in the weight form. As you can see, mostly you see what we have is Asian rivers from China, India, Bangladesh, again China, some from South America also showing up there, then again Asia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Nigeria, which is Africa, China, again Colombia, which will be in South America, Taiwan, China, Indonesia, Nigeria, which will be in Africa. So mostly Asia, Africa, South America. And those are the places, again, if you remember from the waste management class as well, where we're looking at the global waste management practice. Those of you who have taken it, if you have not taken it, then you can go Google and find it in waste management practices around the world, and you will find that Asia, Africa, South America, there are several countries where the things are not in a better shape, things are not in good shape, and they are still evolving, as opposed to North America or in European Union. So that's the reason why you see many of these plastic getting into those rivers. And similarly, if you look at the global plastic input into the ocean by region, here again Asia contributes nearly to 86%. So 86% of the plastic is getting into the ocean from the Asian sources. 86%. We have a lot of people We have huge population in Asia, and most of the countries, the waste management practices are still evolving. So that's the reason why we see a lot of plastic getting into the ocean from these Asian countries. 86%, that's a lot of plastic getting in there. Africa, 8%. Another thing to think about is Asian, many of these economies are developing. We have a economy is going up. So more as the economy is improving in China, India, and many of these South Asian countries, and we are using lots and lots of plastics, and these plastics are not managed properly. Our waste management system has not evolved, has not developed that much. So we are using lots of plastics, but we are not managing those plastics properly, and they are ending up in and contributing to this particular number right there. Africa, people are there, but as compared to India, population is much less, and their prosperity is also low comparatively. They are less since people are less prosperous, and since prosperity is low, plastic usage is low, and plastic usage is low, so plastic waste is low. So that kind of gives you some indication of why you see so much in India as opposed to those like in Asia as opposed to in Africa. South America, again less number of people, 4.5%. Central and North America, around close to 1%. Europe, very good waste management practices, 0.3%. Australia Pacific, not many people out there. Australia population is what I think it was close to New Delhi population. If you take the NCR, probably it will be less than NCR population. So which national capital region of India, that if you take that particular like Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, and Ghaziabad and Faridabad and all those areas, Australia population will be much less than the population of that particular area. And New Zealand is only, I think it was close to 50 lakhs, and so even less than around 50 lakhs. Australia is 2.5 crores. So it's not so less number of people. So where you will get lot comparatively, you will get much less and good management practices. They have a good recycling system in place comparatively. Everything is in comparatively. So they are and we see less plastic showing up from their sources. So top 10 sources of ocean plastic waste. China is pretty high. We see a lot of things coming from China. Then Thailand and India is right there as well. China, India, Bangladesh. So these bubbles, you see the ocean bound plastic waste in million tons. So as you can see, China, Egypt, Bangladesh, Nigeria, India is kind of overlapped with India and China is kind of in the together over here. Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka. So those were the top 10 sources of ocean's plastic waste. Surface plastic waste, if you look at the ocean like basin, this is again 2013 data. Global ocean, as you can see, there are different data sources out there, and each data source has more or less similar numbers. The numbers, if you look at the relative terms, the values, absolute values keeps on changing because the data has been collected in different time of the year, different time periods. So here they talk about this particular study, they talk about quantity of plastic waste floating in the ocean surface within each month of each of the world's ocean or marine debris. This is measured in terms of the mass of particle ranging from a small microplastics to macroplastic. Includes only plastic within surface water and not at depth or on seafloor. So they're just looking at the surface water, surface of the ocean, and they found that again these are many of these are again estimates. So global ocean total is close to 270,000 tons. North Pacific Ocean 96,400, Indian Ocean close to 60,000, North Atlantic Ocean, Mediterranean Sea, South Pacific, South Atlantic. So as you can see, we have there was close to 300,000 tons of plastic debris floating in ocean as per a study reported in 2014, done in 2013, which was close to nearly 5 to 6 years ago. So now these numbers must have gone up, and as you will see in one of the video, which will a small video which I would like to show you as part of this module, you will see that there are several plastics floating in the oceans, and we have lots and lots of plastics getting into the ocean. And what is happening in the ocean is that plastic is not static. Plastic is not only confined to one particular area, it keeps on moving. If you remember from the previous slides that we have discussed in this video and the previous video, although the major source of plastic was from the more Asian countries or the African countries, but here, as you can see, it kind of gets into all the different oceans because the water is connected. The plastic debris keeps on floating, keeps on flowing away with water from one ocean to another ocean, and that's how we have a great, we get an example of Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which was one of the first one identified, but there are lots of patches out there, as you will I will explain that, and while we play that video, and you will see that in a couple of minutes from now. So Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is one of the biggest plastic debris in ocean, which has been reported a few years back, and this was one of the eye opener for plastic waste, improper plastic waste management problem of the globe. And here it was there were different types of plastic. We had different types of plastics, and as well as the particle size. Different particle size were there, and plastic sources were measured in mass in tons. Data is collected in the year 2015, and if you look at the particle size diameter, it was from 0.05 centimeter all the way to greater than 50 centimeter. So different sizes of plastics were floating into that Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and you had and the distribution, if you look at, from 0.05 to 0.15 is the green color here, then 0.15 to 0.5 is the other second color. Then there are, as you can see, there are different color coding as per the size, and we see even the big pieces there too, like the bottom one is the blue color, which is greater than 50 centimeter, and you see a big chunk of that blue color among the all plastic that you find, a lot of blue color. And what is the major source of the blue color is the plastic lines, ropes and fishing nets, which people just leave it there when they go for fishing. So this plastic lines, ropes and fishing nets, that was the source of, major source of this size greater than 50 centimeter. So that's plastic showing up over there. Then you look at, and that was close to 41,376 tons, and had some other sources there as well. It's not only that, but close to maybe 38,000 tons was greater than 50 centimeter. If you look at from the smaller sizes, like a hard plastic, plastic sheet and film, pre-production plastic pallets, of course, is the smaller size. Foamed material was there as well. So hard plastic, plastic sheet and film, we saw smaller sizes, like the smallest one, and then all the different sizes showed up in here pretty much. And as you can see, most of it was between 10 to 50 centimeter. This is 10 to 50 centimeter, 10 to 50 centimeter range, and which you can see it from here as well. And then there were smaller sizes than that showing up in there. So then there was some foamed material, there was some hard plastic, there were plastic lines and ropes. So as you can see, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which was actually invented or found by chance by one of the sailors. Again, you should go on YouTube and look at the Great Pacific Garbage Patch video regarding that chemistry PhD guy who was a sailor actually, and he was just going through the sailing boat, and then he saw all this floating debris, and then he started looking at that, becomes basically his career, and then he spent a lot of time looking at this waste plastic in ocean, especially in some of these pristine beaches in Hawaii where lots of plastic waste is showing up. So let's by saying that, let's look at a small video which will play, which is done by the Discovery Channel. And so we'll I have muted the audio, so the video will play in the background, and I'll try to explain things while the video is playing, and you will see how this plastic, what are the different variety of plastic getting into the ocean. So let's look at this particular video. So this, as I said, this was done by the Discovery Channel. Here you see a plastic bottle, and even all different types of plastics. They are just taking it out, different plastic waste, coming into the ocean, collected from the ocean. You see every day they were saying lots and lots of plastic. Here you can see that this particular girl is trying to look at different types of plastic coming out from the ocean, different sizes. That's how the data was collected. Again, this video is available on YouTube. You can, we have just put a small clipping of that here. I would encourage you to go and watch it. So this is what you see here is the fishing net, and even some toothbrush. Now, what was the source of that toothbrush? Could be the sailing boats, or could be the toothbrush that I and you throw in our dustbin, that may end up there as well. Fishing nets, lots and lots of fishing nets getting in there. And here they are trying to just look at different types of plastic, and you can see this is the garbage patch. This is the large system of circulating ocean currents are making this plastic. As you can see, this plastic from the surface water, from the land to the surface water, and this is how it gets there, and from the surface water, by floating, it finally goes into the ocean. So here they have looked at all these different garbage patches which is going around in the ocean current. With the ocean current, this plastic is moving around the globe. So we have plastic which we dump today in West Bengal. If I don't manage plastic, that plastic may end up once it gets into the Bay of Bengal, then it can get to other ocean, maybe to Indian Ocean below, and then to the Arabian Ocean. It just will keep on floating. And since they don't degrade very easily, they will keep on breaking down and just floating, and they will make lots of plastic juice, as which unfortunately our fish consume. And this is what I was referring to, that great Nike spill. And this is Captain Charles Moore, who I was referring to about looking at plastic in Hawaii and other beaches. So there are Great Pacific Garbage Patch was in fact invented, I should not call it invented, it was accidentally found by him, and he wasn't very happy about that when he found it. So, and there are, so the ocean is getting lots of plastic, and it's mismanaged plastic. Again, I would emphasize that plastic as a material has been of a lot of help. That plastic, mismanaged plastic getting into the ocean, as you can see on this screen behind me, and this is smaller plastics. These are all plastics collected from the ocean, this microbeads and other things. They just ultimately they end up in ocean and makes this juice. Think about the fish consuming this water, and you and I consuming this fish, consuming the fish which has consumed these plastics. So these plastics will end up into their body, and from their body it will end up to our body, because when we eat those fish. So that's the reason why we got a lot of attention has been given on plastic in ocean, because most of the mismanaged plastic is mismanaged plastic waste is ending up in the ocean. And that's the reason why there is a lot of hues and cry in terms of plastic ocean, more plastic in ocean compared to fish. So that's why we need to there is a attention today on cleaning up of ocean from plastic, so that we can save the marine life, and at the same time managing this plastic waste properly, so that it does not end up in the ocean. And again, I will encourage you to, this is just a small snippet video just to kind of get you excited about the different videos out there on YouTube or maybe other sources as well. Please go and look at them. And if you find some nice cool videos, I should not call them cool because they are actually environmental problem, but if you find something good, knowledgeable, which provides us good knowledge, good insight into this plastic waste pollution problem, put that link on the discussion board, so that we all can see, we all can learn from there. So again, if you look at the plastic waste generation this is from 2010, which was again some guesstimate work was done by a paper by Jembak et al. Which they had done some work in this area. This is Jenna Jembak from University of Georgia, and it also some work done on the World Bank. So taking those two work together, what was found was in terms of the plastic waste generation, as you can see on at the color coding. Anything which is no data is basically just light grayish color. Then from 0 tons to 2.5 million ton, slightly darker, then it gets darker, and then from 10 million tons it gets a little bit bluish, and then greater than 50 million tons is where you see greenish color showing up. So, total plastic waste, this is the plastic waste generation. We are not talking about mismanaged plastic here, we are talking about the plastic waste that is being generated. So, this talks about total plastic waste generation by country, measurement in tons per year. This measured total plastic waste generation prior to management, therefore, does not represent the quantity of plastic at risk of polluting waterways. So, it is the total plastic, it is not the plastic which is polluting the waterways, rivers, oceans, environment. High income country typically have well managed waste streams and therefore, low level of plastic pollution to external environment. Again, if you compare this picture, this graph, this image with the previous data that we have talked about, most of the plastic pollution was coming from Africa and Asia, but most of the plastic waste that is produced is in North America. Again, it is in China because of the population, a lot of population over there, and also in European countries and some other kind of rich countries, as you can see over in here. So, darker the shade, more the plastic waste that is being produced, Russia and erstwhile Soviet Sangh and all that as well. So, although most of the plastic waste is produced in these countries except China, where the management which kind of shows up in both the system, where a lot of plastic waste produced and a lot of plastic waste being mismanaged. But other countries where we see that plastic waste being mismanaged, they do not really produce that much, but since they are not able to manage whatever they produce, we see a lot of plastic getting into the ocean from these particular countries. So, this was based on the data, and most of these is the data which is reported by the government agencies. So, this is based on the data collected in 2010. Now, they have also, this particular study I think has also tried to predict that what would be, and so again they have done the previous figure was on total, and then we have another figure which is based on per person, because they have normalized it with the population. So, as you can see, when you normalize it in population, the wasteful society that shows up is number 1 over there is United States, because they produce and then there are some other countries here as well, some African and some probably South Africa, and New Zealand also shows up right there. So, and some of these European countries right over there as well. So, but and because of the darker the shade, more the waste that is produced. So, it's as you can see over here, some countries this is the daily plastic waste generation per person, measured in kilogram per person per day. This measures the overall per capita plastic waste generation rate prior to waste management, recycling or incineration. It does not therefore directly indicate the risk of pollution to waterways or marine environment, but as you can see, the United States and some of these European countries and developed countries like New Zealand and other places, they are producing more plastic waste per person per day. But since many of these countries also have good waste management infrastructure, they don't there is a leakage of this plastic into the ocean is much less as compared to some other countries. So, this data was per person, just to, it's a good normalize it per person so that you get a better idea about plastic waste that is being produced. Now, this talks about plastic waste generation rate, it says kilogram per person per day globally, and this is an interesting plot. As you can see over here, this bubbles, the smaller bubble is 0.1 kg per person per day, then we have this as 0.2, this is 0.5 and this is 0.7. And some countries you will see is pretty high, and here North America, which is kind of close to between 0.5 and 0.7, which is the high over there. Then we have some of these European countries are pretty high as well. Here we have some European countries pretty high, probably it's a European Union together, and then we have Australia, not that New Zealand actually has higher than Australia. The reason for New Zealand being higher probably is New Zealand gets a lot of tourists as compared to the number of people they have. So if they have around 50 lakhs people, but they get a lot of tourists coming in there, and when you compare, when you do this per person per day, probably they're just dividing it by the population of New Zealand, not with the visitors coming to New Zealand. So that's the reason why you see a suit up on those numbers. So that's why you will not see some numbers may not make total sense if you just go by the number by these bubbles. But overall, since you have to take those factors into consideration, as you can see, there are some hot spots. The bigger the bubble, more the waste that is produced, more the plastic waste per person per day. And so if we have to tackle plastic pollution, we should tackle those countries. If we are looking at globally which country produces the most, and if we have to come up with a global policy in terms of the plastic waste management, we should be able to identify the countries which are most contributor, especially the ones which have high plastic waste produced, like China, and at the same time they have does not have robust plastic waste management system as of today. So this is that kind of gives a very nice picture. Graphs like this produces a very nice picture in terms of global scenario. Again, most of these data was secondary data. They are not primary data, so they are secondary data, they are guesstimate data, sometimes they are estimate data. So they may not be highly accurate, but they do present a overall picture based on all those data limitations, all those assumptions taking into consideration, but still it's a value in terms of the overall picture of the plastic waste that is produced worldwide. And this was published in Science, Journal of Science, which is in 2015. So, and then as you can look at the global primary plastic waste generation, what are the different industries which are producing plastic? So that's again, we talked about it a little bit earlier as well. The packaging again shows up here. As you can see, the bottom, this is your packaging. And then you have the transportation sector, we have building and construction, we have electrical and consumer and institutional product, industrial machineries, we have that in there as well, very small figure right there. We have textile and we have others. So that's the sector from 1950 to 2015. So it's over 55 years of period. So over 55 years of period, initially if you look at until 1960s, 1975, the numbers were pretty low. In this range, the numbers were pretty low. But as we go into this side, we see a huge jump of plastic in packaging and plastic application in other sectors as well. It's not only packaging, the other sectors are also using lots and lots of plastic. Plastic is being used pretty much everywhere now. So we do have a lot of plastic is used in industry. So we cannot just shut down plastic usage in these industries overnight. And so that's why when we say that plastic ban is only a part of the answer and only certain types of plastic can be banned, and we have lots of other types of plastic which needs to be used. We have no other option. We have to use those plastic material. But at the same, because we don't have any other alternatives. But at the same time, when these plastic waste does end up in the disposal stream, as you saw in that video from Great Pacific Garbage Patch, on the other videos out there on plastic pollution, it's not only the single-use film plastic which is creating a problem. It is the entire plastic waste stream which is a problem, and we need to come up with solution for the entire plastic waste stream. So single-use plastic ban is only part of the answer. It's just a small percent or small effort. There are a lot of other things needs to happen to have a proper plastic waste management infrastructure, and that's what this whole course is all about. Where we'll be, we are in the second week now. As we make progress, we'll come up with solution to how to manage this plastic waste. What are the different ways we can take care of this plastic waste? So again, I hope that you are enjoying this course. You are liking so far, and keep the discussion board active and ask questions. Do your assignments well, and thank you, and keep watching.